this video, I will be ranking every light source in Minecraft, all the way from torches to sea pickles. And this tier list has 5 tiers: blinding, bright, standard, dim, and burned out. And first up we got the beacon. The beacon is an interesting light source because not only does it emit light, but it also gives you permanent buffs when you're around it. You can craft the beacon with obsidian, glass, and a nether star, which you get from defeating the wither. And once you have the beacon, you need to build a pyramid shape out of some sort of valuable ore. Once you do that, the beacon should light up and shoot a large beam of light into the sky. And if you pay 1 piece of ore, then you can get some pretty good buffs. As a light source, the beacon is amazing if you can afford it. It's a good way to flex on your friends if you're using a beacon as a light source. And it can make your base easy to find with the large beam of light that it shoots, so I'll give the beacon a blinding tier. Now for the conduit. Similar to the beacon, the conduit can give you special buffs when you're near it. However, the conduit is made for underwater use and gives you some good underwater buffs. The conduit is a lot easier to set up because you just have to build some rings around it to activate it, and you don't even have to pay a fee. This can help you if you need to build something underwater or just enjoy being in the ocean. The conduit gives off a good amount of light and has some pretty good effects, but in my opinion the beacon is just a lot better. So I'll give the conduit a standard tier. Amethyst crystals. These crystals can be found in the amethyst geodes which spawn randomly in the caves. Whenever you walk on an amethyst block, it makes a sound and it gives off a good amount of light. And as items, the crystals can be used to craft a telescope which lets you zoom in. However, as a light source, the amethyst crystals give off barely enough light to see what you're doing, and I personally wouldn't use these as a light source. So I'll give the amethyst crystals a dim tier. Campfires. This one is closer to what you would picture when you think of light sources in Minecraft. The campfire can be used in a lot of scenarios to add light. You can obviously use it for its intended purpose when you're building a campsite, or you could use it as a more detailed fireplace if you want to be fancy. Campfires also have the ability to be extinguished and relit, which adds a lot of depth to the light source. So I'll give the campfires a blinding tier. Candles. These are also mainly used for lighting or decoration, and they're less obscure than some of the others on this list. Candles in Minecraft can come in a wide array of colors, and you can place up to 4 candles on a single 1x1 block, which can add a lot to your Minecraft build. Candles can also be lit with a flint and steel, so they're kinda better than torches. So I'll put the candles in the bright tier. Crying obsidian. This is pretty similar to the normal obsidian, but the crying obsidian is cracked and has these purple glowing lines blended in to emit a dim light. Crying obsidian can be good to add detail to an obsidian build, however crying obsidian can't be used to build a nether portal because it won't light. But as a light source, I don't really see too many people using it to light up their build, so I'll give it a burned out tier. Redstone ore. This is a pretty niche lighting source, but redstone ore is an interesting block. In its default state, it works just like any other ore and doesn't offer any light whatsoever. But as soon as you step on it, the whole block starts to glow slightly. This might not seem all that helpful, but back when I used to play Minecraft, I would be mining in a cave or strip mining and almost walk by the redstone. But by stepping on it and making it glow, it became more noticeable. Redstone ore also emits these red glowing particles which look really nice, so redstone ore deserves at least a bright tier. Deep slate redstone ore. This is basically the exact same thing as redstone ore, however instead of stone surrounding it, it has deep slate. Deep slate redstone ore can only spawn deeper down the caves where all the stone is replaced with deep slate. Lighting wise, however, it works basically the same, but I'll put it in the standard tier because the normal redstone ore is a lot more nostalgic. End rods. You can usually get these later in the game from end cities located on the outer end islands or by crafting them. They're a pretty small block and can be used to add detail or light up your builds in a variety of ways. Since you can place them on top of each other, you can make these cool light pillars or light rods to add some lighting to your base, and I think that they're actually pretty underrated. Many people don't realize that they can be easily crafted and used in a variety of ways, so I'll give the end rods a blinding tier. Ender chests. These are not really used as a light source. They're just a magic chest that happens to give off light, so I'll put them in the burned out tier. Fire. This is one of man's greatest inventions. It helped us cook food, have warmth, and light. In Minecraft, it's used for fireplaces or anything else that needs it. Campfires kinda replace the fire in some aspects, but the fire is still kinda cool. Fire is everywhere in the nether, but the nether doesn't really ever get too dark. And there are a lot of other light sources in Minecraft that are better than fire, so I'll give fire a standard tier. Lichen, or lichen, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm failing English class. Anyways, it's kinda like this underground moss that glows slightly and provides more ambience to the Minecraft cave systems. It isn't super helpful and doesn't really illuminate the nearby blocks all that well, and most players carry torches with them when they're mining anyway, so it's not too useful. Lichen is one of the dimmest light sources in Minecraft, so I think I'll give it a dim tier. Vines with glowberries. These vines aren't like the jungle vines, which are flat and dark green. These vines spawn in the lush caves and have a lighter shade of green in a 3-dimensional shape. They can also have glowberries growing on them, which glow and help illuminate the caves, and I think that these do a much better job than lichen, so I'll put glowberries and vines in the standard tier. Glowstone. This light source has been around since the nether was first introduced, and can be found dangling from the ceiling. It could be used in a lot of different lighting scenarios where you want a full lighting block that's always lit. It's like the low-tech version of the redstone lamp, but it's one of the OG Minecraft light sources, so I'll put it in the bright tier. The jack-o'-lantern. Most of you have probably heard of these, but basically they're carved pumpkins that glow. They work a lot like the real life jack-o'-lanterns because they light up and they're made out of pumpkin. They can be used for Halloween decorations or a unique form of lighting. Outside of Halloween, I can't really see them being used too much, so I'll give them a standard tier. Next up is the lanterns. I feel like the lanterns were recently added, but they've been in the game for quite a while now. They look a lot nicer than the torches or campfires, and they're great for adding ambience to your Minecraft builds. If you use chains to hold them up, they blend in very well and add to the light source. So I think that lanterns deserve a blinding tier. Lava cauldrons. This one is very specific, but it's on the tier list, so I'm going to rank it. As you might have guessed, the lava cauldrons are cauldrons that are filled with lava. Even though they have lava in them, they can still be placed underwater, which is pretty cool. They give off a similar amount of light as the normal lava, but I don't really see a reason why someone would need to use this as a light source as opposed to the normal lava or literally anything else. Burned out tier. Now for the normal lava. This block has been in the game for quite a while and gives off a good amount of light. It can be used for an evil lair that was built in 2012, and honestly it's not a bad lighting block. It might not be my go-to choice for lighting, but it has its uses, so I'll give lava a bright tier. The blast furnace. This furnace gives off a small amount of light when it's in use and can light up a small area. This is definitely a unique way to light up your Minecraft house, but in my opinion, it seems like a very complicated way to do it. Burned out tier. The normal furnace. When it's smelting something, it gives off a lot more light than the blast furnace, but it's still not practical as a light source because you have to be actively smelting something in order to produce light. Burned out tier. Next up is the smoker. This suffers the exact same problem as the furnace because the smoker's fire size is similar, so I'll put it in the burned out tier. Now for the magma block. This is a decent light source, but I wouldn't consider it a main lighting block. Yes, it gives off light, but that light is extremely dim and not super helpful. It spawns often in the nether biome and it's easy to get a lot of it, but aside from adding some detail, I don't see much use for it in your Minecraft house. But then again, I haven't played Minecraft in a while, so I don't know. I'll put magma in the dim tier. Redstone lamps. These are a more OG light source and they were really cool when they came out. They have basic functions like the ability to be turned on or off with redstone current. And that might not sound that groundbreaking, but back in the day, it was a nice feature to have and they're very nostalgic, so I'll give them a bright tier. Now for the torch. The torch is probably the first thing you think of when you picture lighting sources in Minecraft. It has a lot of uses and is extremely easy to craft, only requiring sticks and coal. It's perfect for taking with you when you go strip mining or caving to help you light up the way and see ores easier. And it's one of the first light sources to be added to the game, so obviously it's going in the blinding tier. Redstone torches. Redstone torches are very similar to torches, but they're red and give off a dim light. As a redstone component, it can power nearby redstone components similar to the block of redstone. But as a light source, it's not used too often unless you're building a haunted house from 2013, so I'll put them in the dim tier. Respawn anchors. These are made out of crying obsidian but also have a nether portal glow on them. The respawn anchors act kind of like a bed for the nether but without blowing up, and it actually gives off a good amount of light if you have full glowstone in it. Much like the beacon, if you use this as a light source, they can show other players how rich you are. So I'll give the respawn anchor a standard tier. Sea lanterns. These are one of my favorite light sources in the game. They look really clean and give off a good amount of light for how cheap they are to craft. You can craft them with a few basic ocean monument items you can get from killing the guardians. And if you can manage to build a guardian farm, then the sea lantern is extremely easy to get and looks really nice. So I think that it deserves a blinding tier. Now for sea pickles. Sea pickles produce a little bit of light and they can only be placed underwater, which makes them very unique. Sea pickles spawn somewhat frequently underwater and adds a lot to coral reefs or ocean themed builds. And in my opinion, they're highly underrated, so I'll put them in the bright tier. Shroomlight. This is basically like organic glowstone because it still spawns in the nether, but it can only be found inside of giant crimson or warp fungi. The shroomlight works similar to glowstone and gives off a warm light color. It's easy to get and it's one of the better newer light sources that Mojang has added to the game. Bright tier. Soul campfires. These are the exact same as normal campfires, but they have blue fire instead of orange fire. And I remember hearing somewhere that the soul campfire actually does more damage than the normal campfire. Anyways, you can get soul campfires by using the soul soil from the Soul Sand Valley biome in the nether. And while the light it gives off is cool and unique, in my opinion, it's nothing like the original campfire, so it's going in the standard tier. Now for soul fire. This is very similar to normal fire, but it's blue and has the same properties as the soul campfire's fire. You can create soul fire by using a normal flint and steel to light a piece of soul soil, and it will burn a nice blue color. But again, the OG fire is just a lot better in my opinion. Standard tier. Soul lanterns. As you might be able to guess by now, this is a lantern that glows blue instead of orange. It gives off a bit less light. It still functions like a normal lantern, but it's just a different color. Not too special, but it can look nice if you're good at building. Standard tier. The soul torch. This is a torch that has a blue glow and a dimmer light, and having color torches is a pretty cool idea in my opinion. We already have the redstone torch and the soul torch, so why not add more like the emerald torch? I actually think that the soul torch is better than the other soul light sources on the list, so the soul torch is going in the bright tier. And last but not least, the light block. Chances are that many of you watching this haven't actually heard of this block before. Well, when it comes to blocks that light up in Minecraft, there's really nothing better than the job of the light block. The light block is an invisible block that's intended for map makers so they can have custom lighting on their map. In Minecraft, there are 15 lighting levels, and you can adjust the light block to be whatever light level you need it to be. So for that reason, I think that the light block deserves a blinding tier. YouTube told me to end my videos abruptly.